What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday evening to you. Welcome to Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel here on a relatively short slate Saturday night, but we've got 2 more weekends of baseball to go, so we'll try to make them count. Playoff races are taking shape, and just a handful of night games today, a little bit more skewed towards the day games this afternoon, but still some money to be won out there tonight, and we'll see if we can bring you some good advice here on Crunch Time. To help you do that would be myself, Justin Van Zuden, STL Cardinals 84. We've got Mr. Tim Buell alongside as well. Tim, you mentioned before the show, we talked a few weeks back. After kids go back to school, everybody, they bring home the cold, the flu. Everybody gets sick, then they share it with mom and dad, and it just goes around once school starts. I battled it a couple weekends ago. I know you're battling it now. It's just that joyous time of fall, first day of fall. Where those things are going to go around. So hopefully we can help you make it through the show and your voice stays intact here tonight.
Yeah, I think I can get through it, but I'm definitely feeling something. Something's brewing in this household. It's definitely back to school season. It's fall season, and yeah, I'm actually sweating a couple sports bets right now. I've got the Marlins money line, and I also have Ole Miss +7. So I'm currently sweating a couple games. But yeah, we got a 5-gamer on FanDuel and 4 games on DK to break down. So I'm looking forward to breaking it down with you.
Yeah, and if the big college football game this afternoon was a bit of a flop, Oregon's ahead of Colorado 42-0. So you can take a break from watching that one. Check out some baseball talk here over the next half hour or so.
I can't wait to listen to the prime press conference after that game.
It's probably not gonna be very pretty. Right before we came on the air, I think the total yards were like 346 to 40 or something like that. It's an old beatdown there in Oregon today. So if you were watching that game, you can tune to us here for a little bit, make some baseball lineups. We've got FanDuel lock coming up here at 6:40. DraftKings does not include the 6:40 game on their slate. So it's just 4 games on DraftKings tonight, and that doesn't lock until like 7:05 or 7:10. So a little bit later with the DraftKings lock without the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game, but we do have that on FanDuel. So we'll focus on that first. We'll just talk FanDuel, go through all the positions. Obviously, the analysis is mostly going to be the same because DraftKings is just minus the 1 game. So just know that any Cincinnati or Pittsburgh players we talk about, you're not going to be able to play on DraftKings. Not any weather issues in the way of these evening games. There was a whole mess of weather issues for the afternoon games with the rough weather on the East Coast here. But that is solely on that slate, and it looks like the night slate will be just fine as far as weather is concerned. So, Tim, I guess we can go ahead and start at pitcher, where it's pretty ugly out there tonight. The most expensive pitchers that we have are Logan Gilbert, who has a tough matchup in Texas. And then Clayton Kershaw, who is just, kind of slowly working his way back from injury. He only threw 50 some odd pitches his last time out. Maybe he gets to 70 or 75 tonight, but still, not the kind of Kershaw that we want to pay up for. There's just not a whole lot here. So is there anything that we can actually like at pitcher tonight?
I think there's a couple things that we can like, but I don't think there's anybody that we absolutely love, and I don't think there's anybody that we need to be really locking in, to be completely honest. I think this is definitely a slate where if you want to get fancy and do kind of a really strange vomit stack, as Blender calls it, I think this slate is well positioned for that. Obviously, I mean, I kind of think Kershaw, you could even play Kershaw. As stupid as that sounds, only getting 70 pitches, but I think there's a case to be made that he could possibly be one of the highest scoring pitchers. So I wouldn't do that in cash games. I wouldn't do that if I was only running out like 1 to 3. But I think that if I was maxing out the slate, I think he could be part of your pitching pool. But
even on FanDuel, or is that more of a DK play for you, where you somehow got to find 2 pitchers?
I think even on FanDuel, honestly, like I wouldn't get a ton of him, but if I'm building out say 50 or more teams, I think you could even on FanDuel. I don't think he can get you the quality start, but I think he gets you enough pitches to get you the win. and I think that he can be efficient enough with those 70 to 75 pitches where he could end up being the top scoring pitcher on the slate. So I don't think it's completely ridiculous to have a couple pieces of him.
And then as far as the other options, I mean, it seems like the chalk is heading towards something like Jordan Montgomery, JP France. I mean, who just did not pitch well against these same Royals last weekend. You got the rookie for Cincinnati, Connor Phillips, going tonight. It feels like Montgomery is the safe path that a lot of people are going to take. I don't hate that. I'm intrigued by Phillips, who actually has the highest strikeout prop tonight. France, I think, is pretty safe. He's probably not going to get blown up, facing the Royals, fairly affordable. He's cheap, $700 cheaper than Montgomery on FanDuel. So I don't think anybody's going to run away with this slate in terms of scoring. So I'm more than fine saving some money if you want to do that. Do you have a hot take on any of these guys, or just trying to avoid a landmine here at pitcher?
No, I'm glad that you brought up Connor Phillips. I definitely do not mind him at all. I think that he allows you to pay up for those really premium bats that we'll talk about. Everybody knows who they're going to be tonight. It's going to be Houston. It's going to be the Dodgers. So Connor Phillips is firmly in play. Boy, I'm not crazy about JP France being the highest owned. Like, I agree with the projection.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's why the slate is so weird.
Right. Like, I don't know if I like that. Like, I don't know if I would roster that. I guess I like Jordan Montgomery the most, as in terms of the quote unquote safest guy. But that doesn't feel great to me either. So really, I think it's kind of a toss up depending on how many bats you want to get to. I think I'm kind of like narrowing it down between Montgomery and Phillips as my two favorite guys.
Yeah, and those are the guys that I have tagged to for tonight. So I think they're my two favorites. Again, there's no must play in here. There's no
I tagged France, but now he's the chalkiest. Where I think earlier he wasn't. So now I'm not as
you're walking it back.
Thrilled. Yeah, kind of. I mean, obviously it's like one of those three. Like Montgomery, France, Phillips. Like, they're all fine, but I don't know if I want to play JP France as the chalkiest pitcher on the slate. So that just makes me a little bit nervous.
Gilbert, obviously you can keep in your GPP pool, but he's nowhere near a core option at that salary against Texas. We've got quite a few, like the Giants are going with an opener situation tonight. Bailey Falter is going to be like the bulk guy for Pittsburgh, most likely. Nick Martinez and possibly Avila are going to pitch for Sandy. Like, there's a whole bunch of opener, follower, or bad pitcher. Like Lyles, you're not playing. Woodford, you're not playing. Just not a whole lot of options on a 5-game slate.
That's why I was like, if you want to get 5% of Clayton Kershaw, I think you can.
Yeah,
because half of these pitchers you really got to X out. So
you could roster Spencer Strider and maybe outscore a few pitchers tonight.
Yep. I mean, there's a few of these guys you just can't roster. So I really don't mind getting a pinch of Kershaw.
All right. Anything else that we have missed here? It's fairly ugly, and I don't really think there's anything else.
No, I think we can go to some bats if you want to.
All right, let's go ahead and make that transition now. So I'll switch the screen share over to the bats, and we always, of course, want to start by talking out stacks and then go position by position, and then we'll take your questions. But before we get into that, again, a reminder, Crunch Time is presented by FanDuel. You can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet $5. That is for new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or over. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're still trying to find that Wyoming viewer. I've shouted it out on every live show. If we've got somebody out there listening from Wyoming, we want to hear from you. We want to know that you're out there listening. So anyway, let's go ahead and move to bats. We don't have a whole lot of good pitchers tonight, so that means at least we've got some decent spots for offense. Your highest team total is Houston, which is now up around 6 runs. What do you like for stacks tonight?
Yeah, Houston is obviously the top stack on the board. It's going to be they're kind of tough to play because they are appropriately priced on both sites. Like you're going to have to make some concessions. You're going to have to find some value bats, but in terms of like raw projection, Houston is by far the top option. Guys like Jordan, Kyle Tucker, Jose Altuve, like they're the top plays on the slate. They are going to carry some ownership, but I think they're the decision point that you're going to have to make. So if you're going really really heavy at chalk at pitching, and then you're throwing in Houston, you're going to have to get really try to get really contrarian with your value pieces because you're going to be duped. So it's only a 5-game slate. So just be careful of how you're building your lineups tonight. So it's definitely Houston and then the Dodgers for me.
Yeah, I think those are clearly your top 2 teams on this slate in terms of offensive potential. You got Texas is always there as well, but at least they're facing a top end pitcher tonight in Gilbert. So San Diego may be the third team I'd throw in that mix with Woodford starting for the Cardinals in place of Wainwright. And the Cardinals have basically called it a season. They're just waiting for their tee times here in about 8 or 9 days. So the Padres, I think, are another team that can give you some stealing tonight. So again, we'll go through position by position now. We got about 18 minutes left until Fanduel lock. If you've got some questions, reminder, you can throw them in our RotoGrinders Discord in the live stream chat. You don't have to be a premium subscriber to access that. So you can go to rotogrinders.com/Discord. As long as you're just a regular RotoGrinders member, you can hop in that live stream chat channel and ask your questions there. Again, rotogrinders.com/Discord, or you can follow through the links on the homepage. So, all right, let's talk position by position here tonight. And we'll start at catcher, where obviously you don't need one on FanDuel. I think you could possibly play one tonight, though. Do you like anything at catcher tonight?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's Diaz for sure is the top option if you can get to him. I think the best value play at catcher by far is Luis Campusano at 3,300. He is by far. I think probably my favorite points per dollar play. I think I don't know, if you really need him, you could play Tyler Cropley at min price on DraftKings. And then the Rangers catchers, I guess, would probably be my next favorite.
Yeah, again, I think a fairly deep pool of catchers tonight. Don't mind some of those guys. Totally agree on Campusano. I think he's a great play on DraftKings. Even, we talk vomit stacks. I mean, I don't think the Royals are a horrible vomit stack tonight.
I don't think so either.
France is picking up a bunch of ownership. The last time France started against the Royals, the game was 10-8. Not that means it's going to happen again, but the Royals do have some cheaper bats. You just never know on a 4-game slate on DraftKings. I think the Royals are fairly interesting. So Melendez, you could play at catcher or outfield, obviously on FanDuel, but Campusano probably the guy that I'm most overweight on DK. I think Yainer Diaz, who's in that Houston lineup tonight, is certainly fine as well. All right, let's go ahead and move it over to first base. What you got there tonight?
Yeah, so I think I don't know. I don't really want to play Jose Abreu. I think he would be the Astro that I would probably leave off. That seems like a lot for him. I'm not really that enthused with playing him. Then again, I don't know if I want to pay all the way up for Paul Goldschmidt. So I think I want to pay all the way up for Freddie Freeman if the rest of my lineup allows it. I think he's the top first baseman on the slate. He's expensive on both slates like he should be. And then I think if I can't get up to him, I think I'm going to punt with Luken Baker, batting 6th, dirt, very, very cheap on both sites.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Baker, he hit 32 homers, I think, at AAA this year for the Cardinals. He's made a couple cameo appearances in the majors as well, and he's been in with the big league club for a couple weeks, and then for a couple weeks earlier in the year as well. So 30-plus homers in the minors while not being with the team for about a month. Certainly a guy with a ton of pop. I mean, it's somewhat home run or bust, but he's min salary here basically at 2,200 on FanDuel. He's 2,200 on DraftKings too. So I don't hate it for sure with the Padres throwing out Martinez tonight. Although the Cardinals are basically I read last night that with the Cardinals lineup last night, Paul Goldschmidt had as many years of major league experience as their other 8 starting position players combined, which was kind of funny. Just what they're throwing out there these days.
I don't even mind getting to some G-Man Choi tonight at 2,500 on DK, a part of that San Diego stack. He will have pretty significant pinch hit risk. The bat has him for 34% pinch hit risk, which is pretty high, but still, I think he's a viable punt option at first.
Yeah, I mean, if the Cardinals bring in a lefty out of the pen, oh joy, CB Buckner's the home plate umpire tonight. That will be a whole lot of fun. He's surpassed Angel Hernandez. If you haven't seen some of the highlights,
I don't know about that.
No, all right. It's 1A and 1B. We'll give them though. They're both horrible.
Right.
But Buckner's had his issues with the Cardinals manager over the last couple of years, and they've just jawed back and forth quite a few times. But Buckner gets into it with a lot of managers. Steer and Encarnacion, I think, are both fine on FanDuel as well, where you have those Cincinnati bats available. Abreu on FanDuel is going to get some ownership, but again, hard to ignore Houston and that stack tonight with their team total. So let's go ahead and move to second base. What do you got there tonight?
Yeah, so Jose Altuve definitely is the top option. I think I would prioritize him even more than Mookie Betts. Altuve is in that amazing spot against Lyles, so I think I would prioritize Altuve. I think Tommy Edman would be interesting if I wanted to get somebody in the mid-range. On FanDuel, we have Jonathan India at 3,400, and then also Nick Senzel is 2,500 batting second, so he is a really, really strong value on FanDuel.
Yeah, some pinch hit risk there for him, maybe later in the game as well, but super cheap. I like India a good bit leading off tonight, and the Reds. It's an offense that has really tailed off in the second half, but I do like the matchup here tonight. To see where they are. So they're 2 games back of a wild card spot right now. So they are not going to really be able to handle too many more losses if they still want a chance at a playoff berth. So must-win territory pretty much for the Reds.
Yeah, somebody in chat wanted me to go over Cincinnati's pinch hit risk real quick.
Sure, go for it.
Stuart Fairchild is the big one. He's 63%. And then Nick Senzel is 26%. Marte is 15%. And Encarnacion Strand is 9%. So Fairchild is definitely by far the highest risk pinch hitter on the Reds. The rest of them aren't too bad.
Yeah. And Fairchild's hitting 8th. Not a whole lot of need to go there anyway. So he'd be the one guy that, maybe you could even leave out of your Cincinnati stacks tonight. I don't mind Marcus Semien, and obviously when we get to shortstop, Corey Seager as one-off plays. It's a 5-game slate. These guys have the potential to break a slate, and against Logan Gilbert, you can certainly play those guys as one-offs without necessarily needing to stack Texas by any means. All right, as we move to third base, position where you're going to see Alex Bregman likely be the chalk here at third tonight. Because of Houston having that high team total, but some interesting options here. Obviously, you've got Max Muncy hitting third for the Dodgers. Manny Machado, sounds like he's going to have offseason surgery, but he still hit 2 homers last night against the Cardinals. You've got Maikel Garcia leading off for Kansas City. I mentioned I kind of like them as the potential vomit stack tonight. You've got Ha-Seong Kim in here. So you eating the Bregman chalk, or where are you looking at third base?
I think I'm looking to try to get like one Dodger in my lineup because I can't quite full stack them. So I think I'm prioritizing Max Muncy on both sites over Bregman. But obviously, Bregman's a fantastic play. I think, Miguel Garcia at 3,600 on DraftKings is completely fine. Even if you're pitching France, I think if you wanted to just use him as a Royal, I think that's completely fine. It's not like the best position. It's I don't know. So, but my favorite overall third baseman is definitely Max Muncy.
Yeah, I think in terms of upside and when you compare it to the projected ownership, he's about 10% lower than Bregman. So Muncy or Machado, I think are certainly options. Got Jared Triolo picking up a little bit of ownership on Fanduel as well as a min salary guy hitting fifth for the Pirates. I'm not really on that because I'm on Phillips as kind of a good GPP pitching option. But if you're not on him, I can certainly understand.
You still have Encarnacion Strand and Senzel that you can play at relatively cheap prices.
Yeah. It's not like you need. I mean, and keep in mind, even if you're playing Logan Gilbert, like the max you're spending at pitcher tonight is 9,700 on FanDuel. So it's not like you're paying it. We've got an 11K pitcher to pay up for. So you should have the salary available to get what you need there without going to Triolo. At least that's my thought process. All right, let's go ahead and flip over to shortstop. We'll go through outfield. We'll take some questions. Not too many. I'm monitoring the Discord. I'll check the YouTube as well. We've got 8 minutes until the FanDuel lock at 6:40. So, shortstop. What do you like there tonight?
Yes, I think it's Jeremy Pena. He has a pretty bad lineup spot, but he's only 2,700 on FanDuel. He's 4,100 on DK, which is not great. But I don't know if I want to pay 6K for Bobby Witt or 6,600 for Corey Seager. Like, obviously, they're both fantastic, right? Like, they're both fantastic hitters. But I think I want to stay with my Houston stack. So I'm going to go with Pena. I think next up for me would be Xander at 4,600. Batting leadoff. I think that's a really great play. And we've mentioned Manny Machado also. But I think, Witt and Seager are fine. They're just, I want to prioritize, other expensive bats. So I can't get to them.
Yeah, it's tough to get there when you look at, 4,200 for Witt, 4,300 for Seager. Bogarts, as you mentioned, kind of comes in with that discount of $1,000 from those top two guys, and then Pena, who you and I both have tagged here tonight, even though he's hitting eighth at 2,700 in that offense with their team total. I think he's still certainly fine to play at shortstop tonight. Probably the best value there for sure. Don't mind some Ha-Seong Kim, but probably playing him at second or even third if I'm playing him on FanDuel, and you've got a utility as well. And he's available at 3 positions, so you can kind of work him in wherever you want. And the Padres stack does come together fairly well because of that, because you can move Kim around. You got Machado at third, Bogarts at short, and of course, you've got the outfielders for the Padres as well. I really like Juan Soto tonight against Woodford, who walks a lot of guys, doesn't strike a lot of guys out. Perfect matchup for Soto. You've got Yordan Alvarez, who has elite splits against right-handed pitching. I think those two guys are clearly the class of the outfield plays tonight, with Alvarez being my favorite overall bat on the slate. That won't come as a surprise if you look at the projected ownership. He's way up there, but 40%. But anyway, your thoughts on the outfield tonight?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely Yordan is the big decision point tonight. He's definitely in the best spot. He's definitely the top hitter. He's probably going to be the highest owned. I'm currently rostering him in both my single entry teams on both FanDuel and DK, so I'm eating that chalk. Second up for me would be Kyle Tucker, followed by Tatis and Soto. Definitely great plays. I've seen a few questions in the chat, like, can I one off like Melendez or Velasquez? I think yeah, absolutely. I think Nelson Velasquez is a fantastic one-off play or part of a like skinny Royal stack. So yeah, definitely. I think Nelson Velasquez is a great play. I also think guys like Chaz McCormick would be like good ways of getting different with your Houston stack. Same thing with like Jake Myers as like a just like as like a $2,500 punt. Good wraparound piece of that Houston stack.
I have also seen some people asking about Avila at pitcher. Just to be clear, we don't have confirmation that Avila is even pitching tonight. This
Yeah,
confuses a lot of people because DraftKings throws these random probable long relievers, which is dangerous because a lot of times they're just kind of a guess. And so I believe that DraftKings has Avila listed as a probable long reliever tonight, which may not necessarily be the case. So I wouldn't do that. Obviously there's huge risk here. You could be taking a zero. If he ends up getting in the game, fine. But I mean, we've got Martinez projected, let's see, for 60 pitches. So, he could get through 4 innings, 5 innings, and then maybe they just go to their middle relief. So Avila is not really on the radar for me tonight just because of that. So,
yeah. I mean, it's just so hard for me to like answer that question because I really wouldn't do it. But I mean, I can see the logic behind it, but I just can't even guarantee you that he's going to even play. So it's hard for me to really say, yeah, that's a good idea because I don't think it's a good idea.
all right, we have one question also in the Discord from Falcor who's asking about Phillips at pitcher. So I want to touch on that since that game locks in 3 minutes.
I think it's a great play.
Yeah, Phillips at pitcher, and then he's going to stack Houston. Wants to know if his second stack, do you prefer Houston and Seattle or Houston and the Dodgers?
I say just go for it and go Houston Dodgers.
Yeah, Phillips will be, somewhat different enough to where I think that's fine for sure.
Yeah.
Derek is asking about, so I was actually going to look up Nick Martinez's pitch counts this year regarding us having him projected for 60. So he threw 40 6 days ago. So in 3 innings, 5 strikeouts, 40 pitches. So he's had a game with 59, a game with 53. Let's see. Those were in like August. And then he had a couple starts at the beginning of the year. So I don't think 60 is a stretch for sure. He could easily get there. And Avila's had, some issues the last couple times he's been out there. So look, it's just no guarantee. I mean, last weekend against Oakland, Martinez pitched 3 innings and then Avila pitched 3 innings. So the most logical scenario would be something like that's going to happen again tonight. But it's no guarantee. You never know with these opener follower situations. The Padres have not announced that Avila is going to be like a bulk reliever tonight. So just want to make sure that everyone's aware that that's not confirmed. Andrew wants to know, can you pitch both Gilbert and Montgomery and hope for a pitcher's duel in Texas?
Absolutely. That's completely fine.
Cheyenne says, if you're playing Mookie Betts and one other Dodger, would you prefer to have a player closer to him in the batting order, like Hayward hitting 8th, so wrapping around to Betts at the top, or would you be okay with taking somebody like Outman who's hitting 5th?
I'd much prefer Outman in that spot.
Yeah, I would agree as well. Shout out to Cheese, won 100K last night, so closing the season out with
it. Did he really? Good for him.
He did with the Tigers pitcher Sawyer Gibson Long helped Cheese win 100K last night. Yeah. So
very nice. Congrats.
All right, let's see. We've gotten through everything in the YouTube. Mark Flores in the Discord's asking where those Wyomingians, still don't know how to pronounce it. All right, but if there was one here, they could let me know if it's Wyomings or Wyomingians or Wyomingians. But we don't know because they're not present. But in any case, the FanDuel slate here is getting ready to lock right now. So make sure you've got things in order, at least with this first game. And again, the DraftKings slate, largely the same, just with the exception that you don't have the Reds and the Pirates to choose from. And you've got to somehow find 2 pitchers with the 4 games that are left. So I understand why people are asking about Avila, but I think you just got to go, some combination of Montgomery and France will be the chalk. Kershaw is fine, even though he might only get 4 or 5 innings just because of how limited the options are on DK tonight. But I don't see any other questions. Fairly quiet night with the shorter slate. Tim, anything else you want to pass along?
No, I'm excited for football tomorrow. Grinders Live with me and Dean and Bobby at 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, bright and early. So set your alarms. We'll have you covered for all your lead up to NFL Lock on Sunday morning. So starting at 9:30, as Tim mentioned there, then we have GPP final takes and then crunch time leading you up to kickoff at 1 o'clock. And it's always fun to have a full weekend of football, and fall is here. Even though it's still like 85 degrees out here in Illinois today, which is strange, but the calendar is telling me it's fall. So the cool down will happen soon. So, all right, with that, we'll let Tim rest his voice. We'll go ahead and get out of here. Tim, hope you battle off whatever might be coming your way there. Fingers crossed that you don't get too sick. And of course, thanks to Devin for working hard and producing for us on the weekend. And we hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend as well. Enjoy the football. Leave a thumbs up on the video. We appreciate that very much. Subscribe to the channel. You can know exactly when those NFL shows are going live tomorrow. So again, have a good weekend. Good luck with all your lineups, everybody. For Tim, I'm Justin. We'll catch you back here later. See you, everybody.